Hey, it's good to have Jon Acuff with me. Good afternoon, John. How you doing?
How's it going, Tony?
Well, it's a privilege to connect with you. I've read your books. I followed your blog for years, and now look, we're actually talking to each other almost face to face.
We've only met one time in real life, and that was in Missouri. I don't know if you remember that. It was
Yes,
in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, at an Assembly of God's event.
yeah. It was.
Actually, Assemblies of God. It was an Assembly of Gods. It was not.
Thank.
Probably that S matters, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that.
Yeah, and it was at that first time that we met in person that I heard you tell the story about the V-neck T-shirts. And look.
Yeah, I know I'd say that's like a stage two. You can go lower. You go to Atlantic Station, you can get one where people can see your belly button.
Well, John, over the last several months, I've been specifically following the writing you've done about your book, Quitter, and read through it. And what's fascinating to me about your book and all of the branding that you've done about it, that I think the book is really less about how you quit something and more about how you start something.
Exactly. And Quitter was kind of the conversation starter, but at the end of the day, you don't have to hate your job to read Quitter. It's about how do you figure out what you're passionate about, and then how do you do that with excellence, and how do you not get distracted by all the kind of dreamy kind of talk we do. Our culture puts a lot of fiction around what it means to dream, and then you add some faith into that, and it just gets crazy. You hear a sermon on David and Goliath or Gideon on Sunday, and you quit your job on Monday with no plan. We tend to think God hates planning, or he hates, stepping out in faith usually means you haven't thought about something whatsoever. As if God was like, you know what, I do want you to wreck your marriage. I want you to wreck your house. I want you to lose your house, and throw me under the bus in the process.
Yeah.
So I'll have friends that'll go, I want to start a coffee shop. And I'll say, have you ever worked at one? No, I haven't. I'm just going to put it all in at once. Can you work at Starbucks for like 6 months just to see if you hate coffee? No, this is a God thing. And then you go, well, there was this guy who spent 30 years in obscurity and near invisibility building his ministry before he launched it. His name was Jesus. He'll go faster. Like maybe, he didn't have 5-hour energy. Like who knows what he can accomplish. Maybe your dream will be faster than Jesus. I'm just saying it doesn't hurt to be smart.
So, for those are not familiar with your story, that you're not writing out of some experience that you've just dreamed about. You've actually lived the story yourself. Could you share a little bit about your journey, John?
Sure. Well, I spent 12 years kind of wrestling in a cubicle with my purpose, my calling, if you will. And I was a serial quitter. I'd quit jobs over and over again because I'd get to a new job. I'd have a 6-month honeymoon period. I'd get bored and bitter, and I'd demonize the boss or the company and kind of blame them and go, they don't understand my talent, and then I'd jump to another job, and the same problems at the last one would show up at the new one. And so eventually I had to be honest and say, Tony, the one common denominator in every bad job I've ever had is me. So what am I going to do with that? What does it look like for me to really talk with God about how I spend those 40 hours of my week? The idea of it's just a job and it's not your life is such a joke. You can't be miserable 40 hours a week and think you'll be happy on the weekend. It's not a switch. You're one person. That's why Tiger Woods is still not good at golf. Our culture goes, how can he not be amazing? And that's the belief that there's a Tiger golf and a Tiger family and a Tiger dad and a Tiger husband. But he wrecked his life. And so when one portion of your house is on fire, you don't go, oh, it's just a fire in the basement. So how do you, kind of sit there and go, what do I want to do with my life? And that's what I had to do. And over a multi-year process really said, okay, what do I want to do? I started a blog. I got to write a book and would have to do that in the margins of the day. I didn't do it all at once. I had to get up at 5 a.m. and hustle. If you can't get up half an hour early for your dream, it's not your dream. If you're not willing to pay that small price, because there's going to be bigger prices you pay down the road as it grows bigger. And eventually, after 2 years of working on that, I bumped into a guy named Dave Ramsey in Nashville, and he said, essentially, hey, do you want to change the world? We like what you're doing, and we want to show you how to do it on a bigger scale. And for me, as the young guy who doesn't know how to do this stuff, that was huge for me. Our generation has kind of gotten drunk on being called next generation leaders. And so people come up to me and say, why did you join Dave's team? You could have done this on your own. And I think, Seriously? I started a blog and wrote one book. Dave started a company over a 20-year process and is on 5 million radios every day. We're pretty much at the same level. What could I possibly learn from that guy? And so for me to be led by somebody who's done it and for me to grow and kind of, experience that has been awesome. And that's what the last 2 years in Nashville have been about.
And that's where you are today at the Dave Ramsey headquarters in Nashville. And so I have a couple questions, Jon, as you've gotten to do life with the team there. The team budget, do they carry big envelopes around for that, or is there a different? How does that work?
When I travel, I get an envelope of cash. This is a true story. Like my corporate credit card is an envelope of cash that says Orlando, Jon Acuff. And then I bring that envelope and I hustle on the road with it. So that's one of the fun things for me is seeing Dave live on stage the same way he lives off stage and vice versa. Because you and I have both met leaders who are amazing performers, but they're not leaders. If you're not leading off stage, you're an actor. And it's a very different thing.
Okay, but seriously, the guy has to splurge on something. Have you ever seen Dave Ramsey splurge on something, Jon?
Not on me. I still don't have a helicopter. If that's the question you're asking, Dave has not provided me with a helicopter yet.
So, in this journey that you've been on personally, I'm just curious to hear a little bit about your wife's involvement with that. Because let me just tell you, Emily and I have had conversations about where we are in our marriage. And believe it or not, what she shared with me is that when I'm fulfilled in what I'm doing in ministry and my profession, that actually impacts our marriage relationship as well. Do you buy that?
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, it's contagious. So one of the examples I talk about in Quitter is that I was having a hard time listening to my wife, like engaging in conversation with her at night. And what I realized was that 40 hours a week at my day job, I was tuning out in meetings. If something didn't interest me or didn't involve me directly, I would tune out. I would brainstorm in my head or think about a to-do list or just daydream. And I was practicing 40 hours a week of not listening to people. And then I thought I could go home and flip this switch and be a great listener. And so you don't get to be a bad employee and an amazing husband. You don't get to be lazy 40 hours a week and then hustle on the weekend. And so I really started to see the connection between that. And then for Jenny and I personally, I mean, we've done a lot of things wrong. We've done some things right, and it has been a journey. But I'll say this about doing life, together. And dreaming is a great team sport. And the last place you want to put your spouse is on the opposite side of your dream. Because when you do that, the more you push into that dream, the further you push them away. And you start to have conversations like, don't you want my dream to happen? Don't you love me? And you go, don't you want God's will to be done for my life? And what a great thing to do. You take God's side and leave your spouse, what, Satan? Like, I've got God over here and you take the opposite. So for us, it's been a give and take. And I kind of think about it with the illustration of when you're on a plane and they ask you to put your oxygen mask on before you put it on somebody else, that a lot of times that's what dreaming's like. You've got to get your oxygen mask on so that you can serve everyone around you. And that's not a selfish thing. It's not. Sometimes we think it is, but it's not. When you're getting poured into with your purpose and God, you're able to pour out so much on other people. Figuring out your passion is never selfish. Joy is always infectious. It's always contagious. You want other people to have that experience too.
So, Jon, there are a couple of opportunities in the coming weeks where people will have a chance to connect with you and learn from you, and one of them is your Quitter Conference coming up in September. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is the third one we're doing. It's a Friday night and all-day Saturday event in Nashville, and the goal of it is to say, okay, you've got a dream, or maybe you've got the start of a dream. How do you chase it successfully? How do you figure out how to gain support? How do you figure out how to push through the 3 biggest fears that cripple most dreams? And how do you know when it's time to jump? And one of the fun things for me, Tony, has just been seeing a community form around that. One of the first things fear tries to tell you is that you're all alone. It always tries to isolate you and put you on an island. But what fear fears is community. Fear is terrified of the idea of you getting together with 300 other people that are going, you know what? Average isn't okay. I don't want to have average be what I do until I hit the grave. And fear always gets loud when you do things that matter. If you're going to accept average, fear will give you a free pass. But the moment you go, you know what, the last 10 jobs I've jumped, maybe there's something I need to work on. Or this dream that God put in my heart when I was 18 that I've been running away from, that whale is not ignoring me. Like, I've got to look at that. That's when fear gets loud. So the chance to have people network and challenge each other and grow together and, meet your 300 biggest fans is a lot of fun. And so it's our third one. The last one sold out, and folks can find info about it on quitterconference.com.
And then secondly, you and I will both be at the Catalyst Conference again in October. And tell us a little bit about your involvement in the conference, Jon.
Yeah, I love the Catalyst Conference. I attended it for a number of years and have got to be a part of it as a speaker for the last few years. And it's one of those conferences where you speak and then you come right back in to see what the next person's going to say. And so it's such a fun challenge for me. It's so encouraging. So this will be the first time in Atlanta that I'll get to share a couple ideas for main stage. So I'm really excited about that. I'll be doing a lab too on Wednesday, and then a few minutes for main stage. So I'm working on my material right now, trying to think, okay, what's true of my own life? What are some ideas that are really whooping me right now that I see other young leaders struggling with too? And how do I serve the audience that way? That's one of the things Dave's really taught me about, is that there's some ideas that are fun for you to talk about, but if they don't serve the audience, you're not doing your job. I'm there to serve the audience. And same with writing a book. There's times you've written books before where you read a page and you go, I got to do some fun gymnastics, some verbal gymnastics in that, but it's in the way of really serving the audience and the idea I'm trying to share with them. I have to cut that. So I'm kind of in the stage right now of going, where are we culturally? What are some of the things that I really, if I only had a few minutes to share with leaders, would go, hey, here are 3 things that you need to be careful about, or encouraged about, and know that you're not alone in these.
Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And do you promise that when we connect at Catalyst, you'll give me more fashion advice too?
Probably a front hug even. I feel like that's a front hug. And I'll probably do the circle of compassion on your back.
No.
Somebody really cares, What is this? Circle of compassion. That's what it's all about.
Please don't. All right. You can follow Jon Acuff at, it's just jonacuff.com, right? We kept it simple.
Yep, JONACUFF.com. And I'm Jon Acuff on Twitter. So that's the other place you can connect with me. And I'm enjoying Pinterest. I'm even on that right now, and really excited that most guys are going to wait until it's too late to join that. So about that. It's the 3rd largest social media site in the world, but go ahead and sleep on that. Go ahead. Like one of those authors that told me, blogging is silly. I don't need the blog. Let me know how that works out.
All right, Jon. Well, it's been fun hanging out with you today, and I'll look forward to the next time we're able to connect face to face.
All right. Well, I'll see you, Tony.